Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 9. And of course we're playing as Italy, Mussolini's war. Well, let's continue this. We're doing this sort of emergency, oh hell, Greece actually declared war on us and attacked us. We had no troops along the border. Well, let's throw in a mountain division into that attack force. And let's see if we attack this big stack. The reason I want to attack the big stack, see if we can, is it's not, well, there's no fortifications here. And if we can cut off, no, that isn't good enough. We don't have enough units there. Okay, never mind. This one, no. Okay. This is mostly just pinning this other unit here for a little while. And now that we've got these guys here, let's attack this unit. Where are we? Oh, down here. We're gonna lose all these. Just totally reconciled to losing all of them. Yeah, another armor division. We're just building up armor divisions here. Because we have the ICs. Yes, we'll sell you supplies. We're trying to get back into the positive money here. We have some long-range fighters. How are we doing up here? Oh, how are we doing down in here? Okay, they're attacking us. We're strategically redeploying back there to hold that line. And they're coming around to attack, or at least flank them. They're now back in the position that we were in, of no ability to get new supplies. Because the AI doesn't do air supply, so I know they're not going to do that. Okay. What we got here, let's see, we're going to get our armor division, our infantry, and then as soon as they're here, we'll put them mountain division to be able to fight there in Albania. Are you helping von Manstein? It looks like there's von Manstein. Yeah, von Manstein. Look at that. Look at that. That's how bad the AI is. Von Manstein, one of their best generals, is in a heavy artillery garrison type place. Oh god. I know I've talked about how I would design a game, and with yeah, and I know some of you just watched some of my series, and I both totally understand that, because you don't have time to watch everything, so you watch what's best for you. And some of the feedback I've gotten from you, a few of you, is the game itself is very important. You've got to sort of be playing that game to want to watch the series, and that's very interesting feedback, and that's very important, because I I guess instinctually, and I'll use this because it's something I'll probably never play for the channel unless maybe do it someday as a joke, but never seriously, is like I don't expect you to like watch anything that I make. And so if I were playing Minecraft, I don't expect you, the general 99% of the viewers here, to want to watch me play Minecraft. But I sort of kind of had a little bit more expectation that so long as the, shall we say, the subject of the game, World War II, strategy, that kind of thing, and there may be a bit more than some of the feedback, because I didn't want just why you watch me, but why you watch any YouTube game channels. And if you want to get more feedback on why you watch any YouTube game or channel, person who does it, or particular games, why you watch, I'm fascinated to know. So I started to kind of figured a little bit more that the subject matter. So maybe if you're into strategy games, you're not into first-person shooters, and sort of got some of that kind of thing. Or if you're into first-person shooters, you're not into strategy. But I thought the subject would be a little more important, and I'm sure it is to a degree. It's important, but you needed to sort of kind of be, from the feedback that I got, invested in the game itself, the actual game. You've got to play it some, be interested in it some, and that's very interesting feedback. And I definitely noticed a few people that definitely watch Hearts of Iron 4 content more than 3, or vice versa, and different viewing numbers. So, but I do sort of look at all of these kinds of episodes. Now, of course, in that kind of thing, I do put the Baldur's Gate series in a different box, and I don't really talk about history and culture and society and that. It's just playing that game and talking about Dungeons and Dragons and the Forgotten Realms. Like I say, if probably because I've never even owned, played, touched Minecraft, I should have used that. But so if I were to play something entirely different series, it's a different thing, and I'm not sort of doing what I do here. But I do sort of look at all of these things as sort of my conversation with you, the audience. So sometimes I cover stuff and talk about stuff in one game that I sort of kind of maybe in my back of my head kind of figure you've already you may have heard or something. But I have been talking about how I would design, comparing Hearts of Iron 3, Hearts of Iron 4, and recently a Strategic Command, because there's some really interesting things that they do in there that's different than anything in the Hoy series. In some ways more sophisticated than anything in the Hoy series. Some of the stuff is we'll use sort of the bad term, and I don't really mean it this way, dumbed down. It's sort of, or simplified in that series, stacking limitations and other things. But some of the stuff they do is actually more sophisticated than Hearts of Iron. But so, how I would design a game and that, and how I would redesign some of these games. So one of the things I would be doing is, for generals and how to do the AI, is like once a month I would sort of look around at I have the AI look around at divisions, and if you have a division that doesn't have a general because it got pulled out by an event or some other mechanic that removes a leader, maybe he died, I don't know, fill that replacement, as well as because I do sort of get the concept of the AI. Well, hey, Von Mantines, it's a good leader, so better to have him actually doing something useful than just sitting in the pool. But at least once a month you should go around and evaluate units not in combat, because Germany's basically not in combat now, except for Norway. Hadn't really even noticed Norway much. And then reevaluate who should be in what commands. Get armored divisions into armored, or armored generals into armored divisions, and mountain generals and mountain stuff like that. And the reason I'm sort of saying once a month is because from feedback on some of the stuff I've heard that they've talked about Hearts of Iron 4, and the AIs and the processing, because if you don't know, this is a turn-based game. Just the turns are basically an hour or something, and it is sort of a turn-based. So to us as a perception, it's a real time, but it is actually turn-based. It's not a full big turn like strategic command, but it is a turn. And as the processes it has to go through every sort of turn or every sort of thing really can choke up a system. So something like that once a month, and it may be sort of hit it not at the first of the month because you're doing other things at the first of the month. Maybe the 15th of the month you do a quick evaluation. So not as big a pause as we notice when we're doing like the monthly saves, but you might just see, you know, especially if you're just playing things through, you might notice. We give them. No, we don't want metal from you. Might notice a little better. Or if you're going fast enough, notice a brief pause or something. Not so much that I want to take back the province I lost, because as we look here, other than I guess a teeny bit of oil here and stuff which we hold, none of these provinces are particularly useful in and of themselves for any economic reason. This is one thing, again, Hitler really didn't understand in warfare. Because, now, an interesting thing, and I don't know how true it is, but I saw it on the internet, so it must be true. It was just post, I think, on Tumblr. That, you know, probably most of you are aware that they've been able to teach some of the gorillas or chimpanzees some sign language. And so that they seem to, you know, interact using sign language so that they can communicate with that. But, and again, I don't know if this is even true at all, because I you know, this is just something on the internet that I read, literally like on Tumblr or even, you know, somewhere posted like that, that none of the great apes, the chimpanzees or whatever, ask questions. And I know I've seen, like, one Coco or whatever, people, I think I've seen somebody ask it, you know, how are you doing or something, and it may say it's fine or whatever. But the thought is, and again, I don't know if this is true, is that the great apes can't or don't conceive that somebody else can know something that they don't. And that's an interesting concept. That, you know, if they know how to open a door, they know how to open a door. They don't conceive that if they can't open the door, that somebody else, that they would ask, like, how to do something or something. And it's just sort of an interesting thought process when you're looking at things and evaluating stuff. So I found that sort of an interesting thing. But let's get back to this. So we get back to Hitler. It isn't that Hitler couldn't imagine the idea of, oh well, let's withdraw back and then have the enemy rush in and follow you, and then rapidly, because we didn't like run away or retreat only when we are forced to, but we withdraw back so that once the enemy fills in the, you know, the empty space, we can then immediately attack when the enemy is off balance and surround them and kill them. So thank you, Plus, for going by. So he couldn't really conceive that because of his experiences in World War I. So you get things like Operation Citadel or the Kursk thing, is because they were forced into it. The Soviets came into the pocket, and so Germany was entirely unable to immediately counterattack because that bulge in the line was forced into their line, and so they had no, you know, reserves of any sort to be able to, you know, of an effective size to counterattack. And I'm sure they probably did initially, but the Soviets were too strong. I know some of the German doctrine you know, if you lose a position, and this goes back to World War I, you immediately counterattack just because the enemy may be off balance. But that's different than a strategy. That's just sort of like, you get thrown out of the line, you immediately try to counterattack and see if the enemy will run away. If they don't run away, you fall back. So Hitler, you know, I mean, you could, I'm sure, you know, because Hitler really wasn't stupid. You know, we can, you know, he goes crazy by the end. I mean, and whatever you may think of Hitler at some points in his life, by the end he's delusional. He is delusional. We make fun of the, you know, the Downfall movie and Steiner, where is my divisions and stuff. But you can see here now, they're sort of coming out here because they're seeing a vulnerability and whatnot. I sort of wanted to cut them off, but we may be able to attack here. Is so that, you know, he doesn't understand that fluid sort of battle that we would give up territory to then, while the enemy is, you know, pouring into it, like before they have the ability to entrench. But the idea is not just do it before they have the ability to entrench, because maybe, you know, the infantry soldier up there with his shovel. And I don't know, did Soviet soldiers carry shovels? Just thinking about that. I don't know if Mikhail currently watching this thing. I'd love to know. As a standard kit, like all American soldiers had a little shovel with them. All of them did, and basically all German soldiers had a little shovel with them. I don't know that the Soviet soldiers, you know, as a, you know, is in their backpack, in their fighting backpack. Not just did they have them in their engineering units, or did they have a few wagons or a few trucks full of big shovels to really dig well. That's a different thing. I'm talking about actually in their immediate kit. Just don't know right offhand. As a standard, not that can you point to one, but I mean as in like 95% of all frontline soldiers, because I'm thinking 95% of the frontline, or not all soldiers, like in the Stalingrad battles, had rifles. So you don't even have rifles, you know, shovels are easier to make than rifles, but was it a sort of a standardized thing or not? I don't know. But so that you might have the, you know, the hour or two to entrench. But the idea is that if the enemy is pursuing what they think is a disorganized and retreating enemy, pursuing it rapidly, and then you counterattack it, do they have enough fuel? Do they have enough ammo with them? Because, you know, if they're just following after you, and the ammo supply is way back, and they have, you know, each soldier, yeah, I got 100 rounds, and each machine gun, yeah, I got 1,000 rounds, but once that's used up, is there resupply available? And if there isn't, you know, once you're down to 20 rounds or 10 rounds, most of the time the infantry is deciding to leave the battle. Because if you're being shot at and you can't return fire, and I'm not, you know, and yeah, it will be the individual soldier, because if, you know, if whether it's I'm on D-Day, and or if I'm, you know, in any one of these, you know, battles up here, and I'm basically out of ammo, I'm going to go start looking for ammo. Now, on D-Day, it might be that I could crawl a few yards to a dead soldier and strip his body of ammo. But, you know, now, it also may be that D-Day, if there's like machine gun fire pouring down on me, and if I found a convenient little hole to get into, you know, while the machine gun fire is going on me, I'm just going to stay in that hole. But you get out to, you know, like the Falaise pocket here, you know, that this battle happened at. Nice image that Dave threw there. But, the Falaise pocket or something that, you know, the Americans were surrounding the Germans. But even if you're the attacking Americans, you know, once I'm sort of down to, you know, the last, and actually sort of clip of ammo in my M1 Garand or something, I'm going to go look for other ammo. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to run away from the battle and, you know, go home to America or whatever, or I'm leaving in fear, or I'm, you know, disobeying orders. I'm just going, well, I got to get some ammo. Where's resupply? And, of course, if I'm a platoon sergeant and my platoon is starting to get into that situation, well, hopefully if I'm a good one, I'll be trying to send a few of my platoon members back to wherever resupply is to get more ammo to bring it up to the platoon. But if after a while you don't have it, okay, well, you sort of stop advancing if you're on the advancing side. And if you're on the defending side, you start falling back to where the ammo, you believe the ammo is, or where the escape of your unit, which goes to sort of the German on the Falaise thing, escaping the troops out of the pocket. So, you know, and again, if you have reasonably good officers, your officers are trying to organize it, because they may have been fighting in the Falaise pocket, following orders, realizing that ammunition is getting lower and lower and lower, and then eventually at some point they go, well, whatever the orders from whoever they may be, we've got to retreat because we're just going to now be having bayonets versus American artillery. I don't know how good you're going to bayonet the incoming artillery rounds, and there's no point in staying there because the Americans, will just shell you to death, if you can't even shoot back at somebody or something. So with that in mind, the idea of, and this is what a bunch of the German generals, wanted to, the first sort of winter, I don't know whether it was a sort of East Prussia to Odessa, or if it was sort of, here in or Latvia to sort of Odessa. They wanted to sort of at least come back to some sort of short line, or who knows, maybe even use that, but come back to a short line for winter because they knew, after the failed of taking Moscow, where Hitler wanted to hold every bit of territory that he had, wanted to fall back here voluntarily, not to then immediately counterattack because they wanted to get through the winter, but then as soon as spring and hard roads, past the mud season, happens, then counterattack. You have that. They wanted to do in a grand style, or other areas, hey, this is not going well, let's withdraw while we're still in good shape, let the enemy fill in rapidly, and then immediately hit that enemy unit. And there was a lot of thought to doing this. And Hitler was just, no, because one, Hitler isn't that good of a strategist, period. And two, because of his experiences in the First World War, you didn't give up ground. And it just, and he has this just at his core of his being. And it comes from being a corporal. I don't, a lot of people throw that around as an insult that he did, not that he was not an officer. I'm sure if you're, from the British officer class to the German officer class, that might be in your thinking. But part of the thing is that if you're a corporal, why aren't you a sergeant? If you're an actual leader, again, there's nothing against corporals, but corporals, at least I know in sort of the older British Army, are often thought of as little dictators because they have a bit of power, they've got there, but they, for whatever reason, hasn't shown the spark of good leadership enough yet to be promoted to sergeant. And I'm talking like in the 19th century here. Where it's different, I'm sure, in World War II for the British and the Americans is just, you're a corporal still because your sergeant hasn't been killed yet, and you're going to be promoted up as the massive war is going on. But Hitler was for a long time a corporal. And that's a very interesting thing. He was rather unpopular with his fellow soldiers in his unit, and he didn't have much of a personality to be a leader. Hitler doesn't have, and this is different than being a commander. Commanders tell people what to do. Leaders lead people to goals. It could be a team leader. It could be, everyone's equal. Everybody, 10 people or 12 people show up in a jury. One person is picked as a jury foreman. Or it could be, if you want to be politically correct, forewoman, or four-person, but foreman. But all their votes are in essence equal, and they can vote to change the foreman of the jury if they want to. If one person they pick, and so it's sort of a leadership. He or she, because it's often a she, but it has a personality that can deal with people and lead them to a goal and objective of deciding the jury and handling people. It's not that they're appointed by somebody else and now that person is in charge and everyone must do what they say. It's a leadership position. Well, corporals, and especially in Hitler's case, you may very well be a and then of course there's the guy who shows up very early on, gets promoted to corporal, and as soon as there's an open slot, he's going to a sergeant. But Hitler stayed a long time as a corporal. And this is sort of, you get sort of the everybody's sort of slam at Hitler for this. He's bright enough, smart enough to be given a position of responsibility. And that's a little bit of problem solving skills, a bit of aggression to achieve your goals. Hitler, meaning you're willing to make waves to get that goal done. And he's trusted enough with the leadership, the officers, to do his job. He isn't gonna, he was sort of a runner, a messenger, that kind of thing. He isn't going to, decide, hey, it's raining a little too much, I'll wait till the rain stops before I get the message there, or whatever it might be. He's going to do his duty. So he gets promoted to corporal, a bit of authority, a bit of a position, but he stays there, he's stuck there because he has little or no leadership skills. And that's very key, because being up on that podium, giving that message to, the people about how bad Germany was treated at the end of World War I is not leadership. That is public speaking. That is entirely different. And picking which cabinet member is going to do what, or who's going to be cabinet member isn't leadership. That's command. That's a different skill set. Hitler was a terrible leader in that sense. And Der Führer, the leader. And that was just all an image created by the German Nazi propaganda press. He was not a good leader. So he has limited, shall we say, lots of experience of being in a war, but he has limited tactical or strategic experience. So he very much, I know we're playing Italy in here, I'm analyzing Hitler. That's because I know a lot more about Hitler than Mussolini. I don't think I've ever read a full, thick biography on Mussolini. I've read, Toland, John Toland, his double sort of, two-part biography is, my shelf, and that's almost 4 inches thick, and that's only, two books, volume 1 and volume 2. That's only just one of the books I've read on Hitler, so I just know him so much better, so we talk about him so much more. So Hitler sees the war and sees retreat, because that's the way it sort of was in World War I from his experience, as something that you're being forced to do by the enemy, as opposed to something that could be useful to do to be able to better crush the enemy. So, and yeah, some of it comes down to national pride and other things, but it's sort of important to note. So here, with this idea here, and again, the AI is the AI, but this is what I want. I thought, oh, well, they taken this province. Well, and when this first happened, all I really cared about is here, because there's a little bit of resource, or resources here. That's nice to have, but the main thing here is the port, so I don't have to do an invasion. I can supply, and I can bring in more troops. So that's the only thing I needed to hold. Now my goal here is to defeat the Greek army. So they're moving in, counterattacking here. And no, I didn't plan any deep strokes, and I'm still not there to to keep pushing. I'm just going here. So what I want to do is I want to cut off these guys if I can. I could hit attack here, and maybe that would be the smarter move, because I'm playing the Italians. I'm not the Germans. So the quality of my troops. Now, of course, how bad are my troops versus the Greek troops is one thing, and it may not be historical in the sense that I may have been doing better at some of these tech researches and upgrades than real world Italy. But of course, I am also have Italian leaders, which are not as good as German. I mean, he has this is why he got picked here, is because he has lots of traits. But how often do you see a zero command skilled general in what was more or less a standard infantry division in Germany? And we're going into the mountains against mountain troops, but I've also noted that most of these guys are now retreating here, sort of to reorganize the front line. And so they're not dug in, so they don't get some of the defensive bonuses. And so I might be able to still cut these guys off, but also, especially like these guys here, if I can keep them from moving to fill in here, continue to, because if I break through here, then I can break in and around. And the Greeks are no longer holding a strong defensive line, so sort of like they've overextended here. So let's just attack here. We don't have any support. We're going to leave you to defend our... But you're going to like I say, defend, but support that attack. So we're not going to move you out of here. So that's what we're attacking. Now here, what we can do here is, let's see. No. No. Here I knew there's some. Okay, can they reach? Yes, ground attack. But having these guys, okay, you can go home and be rested up. Doing some naval striking, and they've been doing pretty good as supporting our proper naval bombers. Okay, all the ones that have reasonable organization there are. And you get all the way over here. Nope. So we will, 9 units there. Okay, you can come here. Get a little closer and be able to operate there. Okay, what does Argentina want? No, we're not going to import across the Atlantic. Well, let's sort of deal with that. I think Germany has lots of steel. Yeah. They have interesting mechanics because Germany had a steel problem in World War II. And didn't have enough steel. How many do we want? We want 20. So yeah, we go. But it's to some degree just simply the. Oh, why didn't you send them to? And you come down here to pick up those guys. I'm hoping. Well, we should maybe as soon as we get some more garrison troops out here, get these guys to be able to deal with Yugoslavia. If they go to war, if Germany goes to war with them, I don't know. But at least Germany's built up a bunch of forces there. Hopefully they'll be able to crush them. But I do want. Okay, good. We won the defensive war here. And they're attacking there. Good. You go on. You go on. But right now, you go on to that. Oh, they're bombing my militia unit. Okay. Now, I had thoughts. I don't know if I plans is maybe a bit overstated. So I didn't know if I was going to maybe get this far in the game. I thought about doing a naval invasion to stomp on Greece or something like that. We've won the Battle of Alexandria. Go, 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 go. Okay, you stop. You defend. Okay. You're in better shape, so you go there. And yes, I could retreat here, but I really don't want to let too many of these. I mean, obviously I stopped attacking, but I really don't want to let too many of these people get by me. Okay, yeah, that's be a good unit to have there. So with that, no. Oh good, we've got that. Well, let's stop attacking and see what they do. they're going to move really slowly, so if they come after, do we get the port? I want to sort of do that. These guys are going to try to cut off supplies to them. They will be here now, so we will try some ground attack. I don't know if it's going to help enough or much. Sure, it's helping, but is it helping much? Really sort of comes down to the real question. Okay, yeah. We can cut, like I said, we can cut those guys off. That is worth something. And you just, ooh. What we're going to do here is split you because you have your infantry, or your, that mode, that's faster, much faster. Obviously we're going to mountains, but oh, and I probably should have specified going deeper, but you'll move faster there. I can leave the fascists to help sort of cover the supply route here. Okay, now they're counterattacking while we're in a good position, so that will do better than. Oh, you need to get back to the headquarters. There we go. So we're doing better than when we were attacking them. And not a good position. Radar for capital ships advanced. That's good. I don't know when the Italians got radar, or if they really effectively did. There's one thing to have, you know, oh, we can bounce a signal off something and have it come back, but there's another thing to actually get it installed and operational. Okay, advanced armored designs, which allows self-propelled artillery brigade. Okay, so is that, and so we're gonna stop that. That's good. Do we want to do self-propelled artillery brigade? No. Oh, where's it? Our AA brigade. Oh, artillery brigade. So I guess it's just being able to upgrade it here. No, I don't know that I have any of them. Don't know if I will. I wanted to be able to have them. Let's come down here and add Air Force HQs, because I would like to have both Air Force and Naval HQs to better organize up my Air Force and Navy. I know some of the strategy stuff that I'm talking about is, well, one of many of you already know a lot of this stuff, I know. And the other is maybe we're sort of playing unfair against the AI because the AI just is not that up there. Oh, we're going to let you continue to go whichever one you are. Okay, division HQ. Again, that 3 hours reduced. That's the biggest thing that I'm. Now, all the other benefits are really great and really good, and you should look to have them. And that's part of the reason you will and should. Let's support that attack. Just to hit it from another side. Yeah, I think I will be able to trap much of those. Ah, good. And a minor breakthrough, fine. Let's just see that nothing. Sometimes if you'll notice with some of those, it'll push it over the edge. It doesn't give you the notification if you get the benefit by an event, but it'll push it into the red, or where it should be grayed out. So it'll be taking up a slot, but it won't be progressing. I'm moving von Manstein out now that we got that, but good, we're pushing into the mountains there. After all that extra metal from Germany, didn't that come through? Okay. Tank radio communication. And with the integrated armored support. Alright, so this is again something that I don't think the Italians were ever had. Integrated armored fighting vehicle support battalion. Basically to motorized units, and we have, and mech, and those, which, so we have some motes. I don't know if we have too many of those. We got some. Maybe not enough, but it's a good thing to have, and I think we'll spend the research slot on it. I was saying basically the Italians did not have that. Party rally, yes, we want the party rally. We'll take the cost of that. Okay, so now to one degree or another we've broken out. These guys are going to... They're at war with Germany now. Why don't I get notifications of somebody going to war with me? Oh, well, I bet they're at war with me. Italy? Yeah, they're at war with me. Okay, so I didn't know this until now. Well, let's start the war from where we're at. Like I've been saying, I hope they didn't do this, but they've done this. Okay, so... Well, let's... I think the fastest thing we can do... Right, okay, well, you can't fit, you can't fit, you can't fit. Okay, well, we also have Centauro there. Okay, let's come here. Let's rebase to here. No. They're being hit. Okay, so you got to go completely to the defense. Damn. Now this is another sort of problem here. Okay, well. I'm over here. We may need to reorganize. Still don't want to move stuff that isn't. Too somewhat escorted. But let's see. All of these guys here start coming to here. You start coming to here. Now here. I guess we probably should even move the command. Yeah. Let's just get you over here, I think. Well. Yeah. you're going to need to go back and protect that. Guidance advance for our torpedoes. Well, cool. And it grazed that out. Yeah, we'll do that. I know there's a bunch of other good things to research too, but good. Well, let's move you there just to keep you from coming too deep into our terrain. And so Germany is coming there. Good. Well, and again, I'm right here. I'm not so much worried about anything up here because, again, there's no point to that. I'm worried about here getting these guys cut off and holding this. Yes. We're suffering from, I don't know what. Okay, well. Okay, good. They're counterattacking. They can come up to here. They can come up to here. Some of these guys are going to need to go to Europe now, I think. So you keep... They're sort of messing with their minds. Taking territory away from them, so they go, we've got to do something about this. Why? I don't know, but we've got to do something. Okay, they're going to come and reinforce that. It's not much of a reinforcement. I think that mountain division will be okay against its likely opponents. This is sort of the weak link here, or really here. That's the weak link. They're not yet next to that. Hopefully my fleet with all my units in are going to get there all fine. Again, I'm going here because I'm thinking this is going to be a weak spot to break out of. Or at least think I get to hold this effectively. We were just going after Greece. I'd be in a good position here. Okay, so now you're attacking there. You're coming. Well, you have. Okay, you have a headquarters defense unit. Come on, Germany, push into Yugoslavia. Isn't the way I wanted it to go, but it's what we've got. Brazil. No, we're not buying metal from Brazil and transporting it across the Atlantic. Oh, wow, we had a Gulf of Toronto battle with the Yugoslavian Navy, and we took them out. And what do we have here? Oh, we also have, rebase into there. We had also these guys here, so that's what took those guys out. And they got a little sharp. Okay. Looks like they may be following me here. Landing craft, liners. Those aren't mine. Okay, but we're Louis Mountbatten's commanding him. Oh, they may be heading out of here. I don't know. Abandoning the Mediterranean or something. Okay, so we've... Yes, you're taking my islands away from me. Okay, well, let's come up, back up to here. They're sort of mangled a bit. These guys are getting second armor division reinforcing that little pocket thingy. Uh-oh, we got low popularity. Okay, supply transportation advanced. Good. And we will lose money, get news and politics, which will help us out. Veteran HQ. Money, supplies. Yeah, we'll do that. Here, yes, we'll stop that. That is useful because we are spread out and in rough terrain. Okay, well, we're almost to there. We got those. Motorized, armored. I love another armored battalion or something to attach to. Somewhere. And although this is something of a desperate situation, I really want to push them off balance. At least we can get supplies in through there. That was part of my thought. Okay, they've lost, but they're moving in to fill the gap. I guess defeated the forces in Carentan. Okay. Okay, you guys start heading down this way. I'm not sure where yet. Whether I want to ship you somewhere or send you overland. You keep operating or keep moving into. Oh, yeah, we're gonna need the armor away from here there too. Oh, that doesn't look good for you, does it? Spoils of war. We finish. Okay, well this, okay, good, we got, oh, pause. Somehow, when we, okay, if we're lucky. Okay, no, that isn't a bug, that's just letting us know that we may get that. No. I thought for a minute, because there is an event there that... Okay, well, here we go. Let's look at terrain. I want to look at terrain. Your command structure is getting attacked. Let's be bold with Centauro. Okay, that's a very fast-moving division. So that's sort of why I was preparing it. More to go to Syria originally. Let's head for Zagreb. You're doing what you're supposed to do. And you're going to support that attack. Oh, the mountain division. Oh yeah. Oh. There we go. Detach and attach to somebody locally. Good. That'll throw them off. Throw their little AI brains out of whack. Get them to go somewhere else. Yes, see, that worked. I think they're going to be strong enough to hold. Yeah. That was the point there. Okay, so now we have the tripartite pack. I guess Japan is now in or something. I'm not used to this because TRE changes some of this stuff. I look at it as additive, and I look at it as not everybody gets it. We now get the benefits of the tripartite pack, and three-party, pack or whatever, tripart. The reason they did they called it the tripartite pack is because the three-party pack had already been taken up between Italy, Austria, and Hungary, so this was a new thing. But maybe there's some other reason to it, or maybe that it was also called the tripartite pack in some sources. I don't know, but and I changed some of these values. I think. Well, I know I did, but I don't know how they are compared to now. Because this is between Germany, Italy, and Japan. Okay. Oh, Japan's doing really well here. Yeah, it's actually doing very well. We haven't been over to look for a while. And in the Hearts of Iron 4 series, you may know, or game, Japan is its own new faction now. Also, I have an event in Third Reich events that removes all Chinese cores from Taiwan. And again, if you're Chinese and watching me, it's not that I didn't feel that a lot of the people here in Taiwan weren't identifying as Chinese or whatever, or ethnically Chinese or however you want to call it. It just, there wasn't, the reason I did that is it had been settled long enough, in my opinion, that Japan gets full benefits from it, and there was no ability for partisans to rise up. That was the big thing, communist or otherwise. And my evaluation is that there's just no ability. So Japan doesn't need to garrison it from revolts. Maybe garrison it from invasion, but not from revolts. That's more game mechanic than anything else. But and I sort of get their point of making its own thing, because there really wasn't a lot of coordination. Like, supplies really weren't, there's a handful of blockade runners going back and forth, ships going back and forth. There's a handful of submarines carrying highly critical supply elements going back and forth. But I think it was a Panther tank, or was it a Tiger tank? I forget which. One of them, the Japanese bought one, or the Japanese ambassador bought one, and to be shipped to Japan, in theory at least. I'm sure they got some Japanese military attaché to crawl all over it and measure it, but the idea was to send it to Japan so that the Japanese designers could sort of take it apart and look at it. I think it was the Panther, but I'm not sure right at this moment. So they got one of these tanks to be sent to Japan. Well, there was no practical way. Again, there were some ships going that you could have put it in the hole, but by the time they bought it, it really wasn't that practical to even ship a single example of a tank to Japan for Japan to do studies on. Eventually, I think the tank ended up used in the Battle of Berlin. Germans just took it back at some point. But it sat there for a long time, so they couldn't even easily get that back, something they wanted to. So there really wasn't much supplies. There was definitely a certain amount of espionage going on, but it was also negative espionage too. The Japanese military attaché, ambassador, I forget which exactly, is sending detailed reports about what's going on in the European theater, and as well as German plans as he knows them, because he's being informed of some stuff. I'm sure there's stuff that he's not being informed of, but he's sending them back to Japan, and the U.S. can read them. So that's part of how the U.S. gets its intelligence about Kursk and other things going on, because it's reading Japanese mail. You know, the transmissions being sent, wireless stuff, not literal mail, but you know what I'm talking about. So, so they're actually getting. There is an espionage bonus, but there's also an espionage penalty because the U.S. is reading it. Ruling party support, that I also agree with. Between them is because, hey, we're not alone in this, because you look at a lot of the propaganda, especially more so coming out of Italy and Japan than I see out of Germany, of all three of us there together. It really doesn't. Yet there's very few posters, there's very few stuff that is made for the German populace. Newspaper articles. I mean, I'm sure there is a certain amount of newspaper articles and magazine articles. I'm actually thinking of, yes, there is. I'm thinking from, I have the 3 books that sort of cover Signal magazine, which is the German Army magazine, that they did publish a bunch of it in English for the Channel Islands, as well as export something else, and they put 3 of the somebody years ago did the first one, and then Years of Advance and Years of Retreat, which are just copies or articles and stuff from the magazine. So they were covering in magazines going on in the Axis, but there really wasn't the posters, the badges, the pins, all that kind of stuff that were in it together that I see coming out of Italy and I see coming out of Japan, much more coming out of Japan. So that we're not in this alone. So that gets ruling party support. Research efficiency, again, it sort of gets back. There is some. Most of it comes towards the end of the war, once it's almost too late, as Germany's trying to feed the stuff to Japan. But there is some going on, maybe a bit more than I know. So I sort of agree with that. But I also think, and the reason why I do this differently, is that there's a lot more, and there should have been even more tech sharing and stuff, but definitely supplies and other bonuses going back and forth between Germany and Italy. So with TRE, Germany and Italy get the Pact of Steel bonuses. All 3, Germany, Italy, and Japan, get the tripart pack bonuses. So it shows that because these are physically closer, because I figure if you want to, you can I was sending them over here. I didn't know that they would go this route. Cool. My Italian units. So they're closer, so they're going to get more bonus fits this, and so it's different than that. So that's why I do this differently and why I do it. Okay, so we now have the full historical access. This is also pretty cool. I'm trying to think. Don't know how gamey that is, but definitely it does sort of show that, and we hope so, get those spoils of war, that there is a lot of benefit from the Allies going around, and that we got all of them in. Okay, so it was, I think, the radios or something, that tank radios that allowed integrative, and we did that, so I don't know. Oh no, this is because of the bonus, because of the different packs and things. Okay, so that will be we can get 2 more slots going. Well, we can go for mountain and motorized HQs, because those will help with reduced number of attacks or hours between attacks. Well, you can start just coming this way. This to me just, again, I don't know if Count Blue watches much. Count Blue, if you don't know, is the current maintainer for Third Reich events and upgrading it to the newest version, because, not that I can't be bothered to do it, I can be bothered to do it. It's just like I haven't had the time, and I'm making all of these things, though I am going to do some more work to TRE expansion, but I'm going to grab his updated version to 9.11, 9.11, which I know he has a beta thing, and he sort of kind of reported that it's good and was going to do some more testing, so I was sort of waiting so soon, maybe even by the time this is released, I may have released the new version of TRE, but it just takes a lot of looking and digging in, and he wants to get into playing it, so he's doing a great job at maintaining it. So what was I Count Blue, and oh, he's Austrian, and he was talking about how he uses some of these small light ships and whatever, and just sort of park him in ports. And I'm going, yeah, that's a guy who comes from a country that doesn't have an ocean. Yeah. But that's sort of the poke at him. But this really shows is, the AI goes, oh well, we got a little garrison. Oh well, you might as well report this attack just to have that happen sooner. We need to get you out of there so you're not over pushing the supplies. Is that they left all this uh-oh. We just took a hammering here. And we've got 2 liners left. So we're going up to there. From this, well, there's the Nelson. Uh-oh. Well, you go to Toronto instead. Okay, well, we lost that there. Is the ability of the sea to rapidly change the front here. No. Artillery unit, combined arms advance. Good. Good. We need to do these. We've been needing to do that for a while. And what recently? Ooh, we got some more divisions. Okay, so. Okay, good. These are all going to Trieste. Not putting them up there because they have 0 organization yet. Okay. That's a reasonably good choice for once. Do we have a para commander? Do we have a Fogore commander? Maybe Gentile? I figure that's Regier. I think those are probably made up things. Grab some Italian names out of some sort of name generator or something and stuck them in there. Now I totally get why Black Ice did this, is because of the increased number of units, and so the AI or the humans has enough generals, so it's not super penalized by simply not having generals. And I also know that, at least I really hope, that when you have a photo and a name, they're real people. Now, Dino Loduca, I don't know, is he really a 1-level general compared to a 2-level or a 0? I don't know. And obviously, and is he winter specialist? Don't know why they gave him that. Is that an Alpine type of Italian hat? So that could be a good reason for it. Just simply the type of division he commanded. But wild ass guesses to some degree, I'm sure. But at least I hope the name and the picture match. And you have trouble finding photos, and you have trouble finding names. But when I was looking for some stuff for Italy, I was, published in English. I was having a lot of trouble. I did get one book on their armored stuff, but it just ain't there. But then, so I, think, how much is there on France or whatever? And sure, we got Charles de Gaulle and 10 or 20 main sort of guys that are mentioned at different points. Okay, well, we're going to give him a para-commander even if he isn't a real person. Now, Germany, just because there's several general packs that have been included now in Third Reich events, and I know TRE, I've added some more oddball guys. SS commanders or organization tote, and a few sort of naval or nav air specialists. Level 2? Is it all the way up to level 2? Yeah, probably. Para. There we go. So, get a good guy there, and yeah, let's come down and, well, what do we have here? What do we have? Come on, real people, real people. I do think that giving somebody the, I would rather have real guys be properly evaluated than you giving me fake people that are better than the real guys. If there's that many good generals, why do we just have the, or you know, good in the Italian sense, why do we just have so many? Now this guy, I think maybe just because he has two names, he might be, well, I don't know. Might be real, might not be real. Okay, mountain, hills. Okay, so they'll at least be able to get supplies if they get cut off while they get organized. They're gonna hold, they're gonna hold, and they're gonna hold. See? On all those counts I was right. They're gonna come up and maintain their control over the supply. Okay, they're sort of being stymied by being counterattack. Well, pursue. I know they're escaping, and most of them are going to escape. Weren't quite quick enough. Oh, do we have, yes, more production. Okay, well, we've got some more infantry divisions here coming up. We'll use some of the HQs. Got more convoys. We lost a bunch of ships. Put a heavy cruiser in. A light cruiser. 2 destroyers. I think that'll be sort of it for the Navy. One thing I did read about naval combat, and that's one thing I just quite honestly don't know much about here. It's good to pair a some destroyers with some battleships, because in big naval movement, you know, from here to here to here, moves at its slowest ships. But when you're in combat, according to this, and again I could be wrong, in combat it moves at an average. You know how quickly the units get into combat to be effective, get into range, moves at an average of the speeds between the ships. So if you have more fast destroyers, it actually moves your battleships up faster. And some of that I can sort of see is that in that the destroyers are doing a better job scouting, so you know where the enemy is, so they are might as well go occupy there, so that, you know, easier to spot and maneuver more aggressively against the enemy. So can we get some organization, and then we can just at least counterattack there. So that just as a little bit of a tip. Oh, well, but we could also use more flying boats and more naval bombers. Deal with those ships that just sunk some of mine. As a bit of an equalizer. And as you can see, they're able to move all around here and attack many locations. Like they're doing naval strikes here. We've won the Battle of Split. Okay, good. These guys, you start moving that way. Good, you keep going. Okay, you support that attack. Yes, that turns that around. Yep, unfortunately, unless we can get these guys actually to come in here and take them, most of these Greeks will escape my pocketing plans because of the damn Yugoslavs. Okay, you attack there and you attack there. Okay, you have... Oh, well, let's attach you to some HQs. Somewhere. These for counterattack. Okay, good. So we saved that HQ. Great. Then we won another battle of Split. How are we doing down here? Oh, okay. Well, we're doing really good. Well, you attack these weak garrison troops. You attack that HQ. And you worry about overrunning those guys. You're going to come in here and hold that effectively, I think. You're going to have that river line there, but I'm worried about when they counterattack. Okay, that's all looking good. Hopefully we'll be able to get all of these, at least for down here, rather good units, back over soon, once we eliminate that. And at this point, I think we're going to end this episode. I'm just having too much fun talking about things, playing. I hope you've been enjoying it too. And on that thing, hey, thanks for watching. Give this video a like, I hope. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. They say to do that in YouTube school. And please post comments, questions, suggestions, ideas, theories, critiques, corrections to any mistakes that I'm getting. Love hearing from you. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.